The divorce was messy, but I had always known it would be. My ex-husband wasn't the type to let go gracefully. From the moment we signed the papers, I knew he would try to make life difficult through the house, through finances, through anything he could control. I could have panicked. I could have tried to fight him in the courts, arguing every detail and every cent, but I had learned something from years of living with him. He thrived on chaos and conflict. The more reactive I became, the more power he felt he had, so instead I prepared. Carefully, methodically, I sold the joint assets I could convert, accounts, and transferred what I could. Abroad, I researched every possible move he might make and preemptively protected my assets and me. Every document was in order, every transfer was legal, and every step was calculated. Once everything was set, and I moved overseas. A fresh start, a new city, a new life. I rented an apartment with a view of the ocean, enrolled in courses I had always wanted to take, and started building a career on my own terms. The freedom was exhilarating, but it wasn't reckless. Every step I took was measured, ensuring he had no way to interfere. I didn't post about my life online. I didn't announce my location or my finances, but I did send him the divorce papers signed and final, making it clear that the chapter was closed. I knew the moment they landed in his hands, he would start plotting his next move, believing he still had leverage. What he didn't know was that I had already anticipated every possible tactic, from financial disputes to attempts at intimidation. Everything had a countermeasure. I wasn't just reacting, I was several steps ahead. First few weeks were quiet, almost too quiet. I expected him to call, to text, to try some manipulative tactic, but nothing happened. It was as if he realized he was powerless, or at least that whatever he tried would fail, and that was when the satisfaction set in. I wasn't just free, I was untouchable. Every move he had planned, every attempt to unsettle me had already been accounted for. I could finally breathe. I could finally live. Yet even with this careful planning, I couldn't shake the feeling of anticipation. I knew it was only a matter of time before he realized he couldn't control me anymore. And I was ready for that moment. When it came, I would handle it with calm precision. I would respond not with anger, but with strategy, because I had learned the hard way. Freedom isn't just about leaving, it's about being prepared for everything the past might throw at you, and this time I was ready. He had no idea what he was up against. I smiled quietly, sipping my coffee by the window. For the first time in years, I felt safe, empowered, and untouchable. And that sense of control, of being steps ahead, was more satisfying than I could have ever imagined. Once I settled overseas, I made sure to create a life that was both fulfilling and untraceable. I switched banks and opened accounts under my new residence, and ensured that all my assets from the divorce were completely secure. Every transaction was documented, every account monitored. I even set up automatic alerts for unusual activity, knowing he might try something out of spite. My apartment became my sanctuary, a small sunlit space with just enough room for comfort, reflection, and planning. I decorated it minimally but thoughtfully, each item chosen to reflect independence and freedom. The moment I stepped inside, I felt a sense of control I hadn't felt in years. Every detail, from the placement of the furniture to the color of the walls, reminded me that this life was mine. Entirely mine. But I didn't stop there. I knew my ex-husband might attempt to manipulate others, mutual friends, colleagues, even family members to get information or leverage, so I quietly informed those I trusted about the divorce and my new life without revealing exact locations or financial details. Anyone who might be approached by him would know to direct him to me. Only through legal channels. Then came the work part. I enrolled online courses, started freelance projects, and began networking in ways I had always dreamed of but never pursued. My ex-husband had always doubted my capabilities, belittled my ambitions, and laughed at my ideas. Now each successful client project, each completed course, each new opportunity was a silent victory. I didn't need him to see it, but knowing I was thriving without him, I was fueled with confidence. Meanwhile, I kept anticipating his potential moves. Would he try to contest the asset division, hire lawyers to dig into accounts I had already secured, attempt to intimidate me with threats or sudden demands? I had prepared for every scenario. I even imagined the calls, emails, and messages he might send, and I had pre-written responses ready, firm, factual, and unassailable. Then came the first real test. I received a certified letter from his attorney full of accusations and demands trying to claim more than what was legally his. I read it calmly, almost leisurely, before forwarding it to my own attorney. My documents were in order, contracts, statements, receipts, all airtight. I didn't panic. I didn't argue. Emotionally, I didn't lose a second of sleep. I simply responded with clarity and precision. It was in that moment I realized something powerful. The life I had built was not just a refuge. It was armor. I had turned the tables without him ever realizing it. The ex-husband, who once controlled, intimidated, and undermined me, now had zero influence. Each attempt to unsettle me bounced harmlessly off the shield I had constructed. I began to enjoy the freedom, mornings with coffee on the balcony, evenings spent reading or networking online, weekends exploring my new city. Every moment was mine to claim. I didn't need validation from anyone who had doubted me, especially not him. My victories were private, secure, and untouchable, and yet there was a thrill in the knowledge that if he ever tried to interfere, he would find nothing but preparation and strength. I had anticipated every trick, every manipulation, every desperate move he might attempt. Nothing would work because I had already been 3 steps ahead before he even imagined a plan. For the first time, I understood what true independence meant. It wasn't just leaving a toxic situation. It was creating a life carefully structured, so resilient that no one could dismantle it. I had not only survived the divorce, I had outmaneuvered it entirely. I smiled as I looked out over the city skyline, the wind brushing against my face, my life, my rules, my freedom, and he had no idea that every single step I had taken, every precaution I had made, was part of a plan to ensure I could thrive without him. The power was mine, and it felt intoxicating. This wasn't just survival. It was a triumph, and I was unstoppable. Months later, he called, anger and disbelief in his voice. "How did you?" I smiled calmly. "I prepared for everything, every move you made, every plan, every attempt to unsettle me. It's all accounted for." For the first time, I felt completely untouchable. My life, my rules, my victory.